IB students, this is Ryan Reagan, the founding partner of HKExcel. Do you feel like you study very hard for your IB test or exam, you put in so much effort, but in the end you get disappointing results? You make a lot of careless mistakes, you're nervous during the exam, and therefore you underperform dramatically and you disappoint yourself. Do you feel this way? If you have this problem, then this video is for you. Because I'm going to teach you 7 strategies that will immediately boost your exam score by 20 to 30% if you use them, okay? These are exam skills. You don't need to study more. You just need to apply them during your exam. They're exam skills you use during your exam to maximize your score. How do I know? Because when I was an IB student, I failed middle school. And then when I went to the IB, I set a goal for myself to get 40 out of 45. So I became obsessed with exam skills. I wanted to learn how I can maximize my score. I did a lot of testing. For example, I tested like, should I do the questions in the order that the exam is given, or in what order should I do the questions? Right? I tested a lot of different variables to try to find out the most optimized exam approach. And in the end, I did get 40 out of 45. And a lot of these exam skills I still use in university to get a very high GPA, right? So these exam skills work and they are tested. Just use them, you'll increase your score by 20 to 30%, okay? It's about what you should do before your exam. When I was an IB student, I noticed that a lot of classmates before the exam, they would try to study. They would go like this, oh my God, oh I forgot. What is that again? Do you understand this? Oh, I didn't really get that. They would talk to other classmates, they would get extremely nervous. They try to do last minute studying before the exam. I tried to do that, but I realized that studying before the exam is basically going to damage my score. Because think about it, 10 minutes before the exam, what can you learn? There's not much you can learn in 10 minutes. So trying to study before the exam will not improve your score. However, it will make you very nervous, right? And it will tire your brain. So I realized that when I tried to study before the exam, like before walking into the exam, I got very nervous, and that actually really hurt my score. So later I changed my approach. I realized that to get an optimized score in the exam, I need a clear mind. I need my mind to be sharp, a very sharp mind that comes up with solutions. So how can I get a sharp mind? So I tried to meditate before the exam. I remained very calm, right? If my other classmates were there doing last minute revision, but I just stood there and I cleared my mind. I didn't even think about the exam. I just stayed calm and just cleared my mind. I realized that by doing that, when I entered the exam and began to focus, my mind was sharp, right? Because I didn't tire, I didn't get nervous. I was very calm, and that gave me a very sharp mind. So remember, before the exam, never try to cram before the exam. Just calm your mind before entering the exam hall. The second tip I'll give you is called the lowest hanging fruit principle. Basically, what this means is that when you're going to the exam, you should do the questions from the easiest to the hardest. So always do the easiest question first. Don't do the exam in the order that the questions are given, okay? This will improve your score by 10 to 20% easily. I tried this myself, and I realized when I used this tip, my score immediately went up from like a 6 to a 7, right? So the rationale behind this is simple. Imagine you have a tree where there are different fruits. Some are hanging low, some are hanging high. If I tell you, in the next 30 minutes, pick as many fruits as possible off the tree. You always pick the lowest fruit first, and that way you get the most fruits off the tree. So always pick the lowest hanging fruit. So in the exam, the same idea. Always do the easiest question. Always get the easiest marks first. Don't do the questions in the order that the exam is given, because a lot of times the easiest questions are at the back, not in the beginning, right? The next concept is about time allocation. A lot of students ask me, Ryan, how should I allocate time for my exam? Like how much time should I use for each question? Now, I'll introduce you to the concept of minute per mark. It's very simple. For example, if the exam is worth 120, if you are given 120 minutes for the exam and the exam has 60 marks. So minutes per mark, basically you divide the number of minutes by the number of marks, right? So that means 2 minutes for each mark, okay? You should allocate 2 minutes for every mark in the exam. So if the question is worth 3 marks, how much time should you allocate? 2 times 3 equals 6, right? So allocate 6 minutes to this question, right? So first step, calculate the minutes per mark, and then you will know how many minutes you should spend on each question, okay? That is the most optimal strategy to allocate time to different questions, okay? Figure out the minute per mark and then allocate, and then you can know how much minutes for each question. The next part is about careless mistakes. I see almost every day students come to our center and say, oh my God, I lost so many marks because of careless mistakes. But students don't seem to learn from their mistakes. They make careless mistakes test after test after test. Now, if you can eliminate careless mistakes, you can actually increase your score by 10 or 20%. It's very easy because you lose so many marks in careless mistakes. So when I was an IB student, I realized that. So for every question, this is especially true for math and sciences. For every question after I solve it, I would spend like 30 seconds to a minute just to go through every step. So I would go through every step to make sure there were no careless mistakes. Just take the time to double check after you solve each question. Reserve time for double checking. By double checking each question, I tell you the truth, I never made any careless mistakes on my real IB exam or my IB test, right? So should you double check at the end of the test? I don't think so, because after you finish the entire exam, it's harder for you to double check. Whereas if you just finish one question and then double check immediately before going to the next question, your double checking will actually be faster because you just finished this question, you know what it's about, you know what to double check. Just check the key figures to make sure there's no careless calculation mistake, right? It will be a lot easier after you do each question to do the double checking. Okay, try this on your test. I guarantee you careless mistakes will never be a problem again for you. Now, this next tip I'm going to give you is going to be especially relevant to like the science subjects like chemistry, physics, and biology, and also for subjects like geography, where there are short questions. You know, in IB, in a lot of tests, there are these short questions, maybe 3 or 4 marks, or maybe up to 8 marks, right? Students often don't get like full marks. Even if they know the concepts, they might get like 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4. They don't get all the marks. So one tip I always teach students is to understand that each mark represents a point, right? So if the question is worth 4 marks, you should come up with at least 4 points to answer the question. Remember that. When I was an IB student, actually, I wanted to be more secure. So if the question is worth 4 marks, I would answer 5 things. Okay, I would answer 5 things if they asked for 4 marks. So even if one of those things weren't in the marking scheme, I had a higher chance of getting all 4 marks. So remember, the number of marks of the question is the number of points you should include in your answer. Okay. Better yet, if you include 1 more point, then that's even better, okay? Number of marks equals the number of points in your answer. Remember that. A very common experience for IB students to face during an IB exam or test is to get stuck. So because in IB exams, sometimes there are surprise questions where you didn't study for. And at first, when you look at it, you panic. You feel like, oh my God, this question is so hard, right? You definitely have had that experience. So what should you do when you face such a situation? The first thing you should do is flip through the exam to find whether or not there's an easier question. Because as I said, always do the easiest question first. So if you get stuck, look through the test, see, are there easier questions I can solve now instead of this one? So find easier questions, right? So that's why in the beginning of the exam, you shouldn't really get stuck because you do all the easiest question in the beginning. So at the beginning of the exam, you should never get stuck, right? So if really there aren't easier questions, you already finished all the easy questions, you really get stuck, then first step is you should stay calm and you should ask yourself, which concept is this question related to? That's what I did when I was an IB student. When I get stuck on a question, I would say, which concept is this question related to? Then by thinking about that concept, I can often come up with the solution for the question. Because remember, all IB questions are related to concepts that are taught in the syllabus. Okay, so really, it's not really a surprise because it's from the syllabus. It's definitely from the syllabus. So just by asking yourself, which concept is this question related to? It should bring back some useful concepts for the question, and then somehow, more often than not, you'll find a solution to it. That was my experience anyway, okay? So hope that this tip will help you to help you when you get stuck on an exam. Keep this in mind. Final tip I'll give you is how you should approach essay questions. You'll get essay questions in English, in economics, in history, even in biology, right? Long essay questions. So I realized that quite many students, when they see an essay question, they would just go straight into writing. That is a recipe for disaster. Why? Because you can't write an essay without an essay plan, okay? You definitely need a plan, and that is how you can write a coherent, comprehensive essay that would get you high marks. You need to plan before you start writing. So when I was writing essays, I would always, before I even start writing the answer, I would come up with a plan. So what should I write in paragraph 1? What should I write in paragraph 2? What are the key arguments in paragraph 2? What are the key arguments in paragraph 3? It just needs to be a very simple outline. It just needs The outline is just for yourself. You don't hand in the outline to the examiner. So your outline don't need to be very comprehensive. The outline serves one purpose, and that is to let you know what to write in each paragraph. So I would come up with an outline, so I would know exactly what arguments I would come up with in each paragraph. The outline is very short. I would maybe use 5 minutes for it. But after I write an outline, I sort of have a map of how to structure my essay. And that helps me to secure the maximum score possible. This is really important. Okay, I hope you find this video useful. These are just some exam hacks that will dramatically increase your score. But of course, it doesn't mean that you don't need to study, because if you don't study, if you don't know the concept, if you don't know how to solve exam questions, even if you use these exam skills, you're still going to fail, because the starting point is that you need to have sufficient knowledge and you need to have sufficient ability to solve exam questions, right? So if you need help on any IB subjects, if you're stuck on concepts or certain exam questions, just register for a free trial with us, and we'll invite you in to come for a free trial if the space is available, and that will be the first step to boosting your exam scores. Okay, so hope to see you next time.